I knew the day was going to go south when I saw Bradley Thorne trying to use the espresso machine in the break room. The man looked like he was trying to defuse a bomb with less intelligence and more hair gel. I am Lawrence Barlow, lead cryptographer for a defense firm that I cannot name without burying this post under 14 layers of redaction tape. I build the digital vaults that keep national security secrets from leaking. I do not deal in maybes. I deal in 256-bit keys and silence. Bradley was struggling with a decaf pod while muttering about optimizing caffeine throughput. This was the manager corporate sent to streamline operations. In my line of work, streamline usually means firing the experts who know how the engine works and replacing them with yes-men who think Python is just a snake. He got his coffee, turned to me, and gave that tight-lipped, dead-eyed nod middle managers practice in the mirror. "Lawrence," he said, acknowledging me like a smudge on his loafers. "Bradley," I replied. "I have a clearance level that would make his head spin, but to him, I am just the legacy hire who does not laugh at his agile methodology jokes." I walked back to the windowless war room kept at exactly 68 degrees, filled with enough computing power to simulate the universe. I sat down at my terminal to finish the final encryption layer for a cross-federal pipeline. This was not standard corporate code. It was the digital equivalent of pouring concrete over a nuclear reactor. One misplaced semicolon or a weak handshake protocol, and half the eastern seaboard's grid logic could be compromised. My fingers moved differently when I was in the zone. I was stitching a safety net out of mathematics. The cursor blinked, a steady heartbeat in the dark. I pressed enter, and the compile bar filled up green. Chaos was ordered into submission. I locked the station. My protocol is rigid. Lock, token out, verify, leave. I grabbed my bag and headed for the secure exit to get lunch. The quiet hallway cost billions to maintain. Reaching the heavy electromagnetic doors, separating the sensitive facility from the lobby, I tapped my badge. A red light flashed. I wiped the card on my sleeve and tapped again. Another red light. Access denied. My stomach rolled. These badges do not just fail, they are hard-coded with chips tracked by secure servers. A failure is a statement. I looked up at the security camera. Usually security would buzz me out in 3 seconds. 10 seconds passed. Nothing. I pushed the intercom. "Security, this is Lawrence. The reader on Sector 4 is acting up." A nervous voice crackled. It was not Dennis Brady. "Hold on. System says sync issue. I will buzz you through." The door unlatched. I walked through, my internal radar pinging. A sync loop error is impossible unless someone took a blowtorch to the system. I went to the cafeteria, grabbed a dry sandwich, and ate while thinking. Bradley had been hovering around the system administrator's desk yesterday. I went back up. The badge worked on the turnstile, but it lagged. That meant a packet was being routed elsewhere before getting approval. Someone was sniffing my credentials. Back in the war room, I woke the monitor. A terminal window was minimized in the corner. I froze. Someone had accessed my workstation during my 20-minute lunch. The logs revealed a login under my name at 12:14 in the afternoon with a command to export the root directory. They tried to copy the files, but they were sloppy. The syntax was wrong, attempting to pipe it to a null device, which just sent the data into a digital black hole. It was amateurish and offensive. It was definitely Bradley or some cheap technician who learned hacking from watching online videos at half speed. I carefully closed the window. I did not delete the history or alert site security. If they were coming for me, they were already inside. I needed insurance. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my lip balm, except it was not lip balm. It was a masked drive specifically designed to look like a generic tube of chapstick. I plugged it into the back of the tower, into the maintenance port that is not monitored by the standard data loss prevention software, because I am the one who wrote the software exceptions. I initiated a silent mirror of the server logs. Every keystroke, every failed login, every unauthorized access attempt from the last 24 hours. "You want to play games, Bradley?" I whispered to the humming server rack. "Let us play." The download finished. I pocketed the chapstick. I smoothed my blazer, fixed my posture, and went back to work. But the air in the room had changed. It smelled like a trap. The summons came at 9 in the morning sharp the next day. An Outlook calendar invite titled Status Update with high importance. No agenda was attached. It was me, Bradley Thorne, and the Human Resources Director, a woman named Brenda Foster, who always smelled like lavender and anxiety. I walked into the conference room. You know the type. Glass walls that are not quite soundproof, a table made of fake mahogany that wobbles if you breathe on it, and a motivational poster on the wall that says teamwork. Bradley was already sitting there. He was not wearing a tie, just one of those quarter-zip fleeces that scream wealth but attempt to look approachable. He had a manila folder in front of him. He tapped it with his index finger. Brenda would not meet my eyes. She was aggressively organizing a stack of papers that did not need organizing. "Lawrence, have a seat," Bradley said. He tried to sound grave, but the corners of his mouth were twitching. He was enjoying this. He was practically vibrating with the thrill of power. I sat. I did not lean back. My spine was straight, my hands folded in my lap. "Is there a problem with the encryption rollout?" I saw the compile finished successfully. "This is not about the code, Lawrence," Bradley said, opening the folder. He slid a single sheet of paper across the table. It was a printout, standard company letterhead, but it had no Department of Defense seal, no national security watermark, no timestamps from the central clearance database. It was just 12-point font, double-spaced lies. "We received a flag during the quarterly security audit," Bradley said, his voice dropping to sound authoritative. "Your top-secret clearance has been flagged as expired, pending review. Effective immediately, we have to terminate your access to all classified systems." I looked at the paper. It said subject clearance revocation, reason administrative lapse. I almost laughed. It took every ounce of my discipline not to cackle. Clearances like mine do not expire because of an administrative lapse. They are continuously monitored. If my clearance were actually revoked, I would not be sitting in a conference room with Bradley and Brenda. I would be in a windowless room in Washington explaining myself to 3 investigators who do not blink. "Expired," I repeated, my voice calm. "That is interesting, Bradley. My reinvestigation date is not until 2027, and usually the adjudication facility notifies the subject directly via secure mail before notifying the contractor." Bradley waved his hand dismissively. "The bureaucracy is messy, Lawrence. You know that. The point is, without the clearance, you cannot be in the building. You cannot touch the terminals. You are a liability." Brenda finally spoke up, her voice trembling. "We have prepared a severance package. Standard 2 weeks plus health insurance coverage. If you sign the non-disclosure agreement regarding your departure today, we can process it immediately." "I am not signing anything," I said. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Bradley stopped tapping his finger. "Excuse me? I am not signing a voluntary separation agreement," I clarified. "If you are firing me, fire me. Put it in the system. Terminated due to clearance failure. Do it." Bradley smiled. It was a shark smile, all teeth and dead eyes. "Fine, have it your way. Hand over your badge and your cryptographic token." I reached into my bag. I pulled out my badge, the hard plastic rectangle that had been my identity for 12 years. I placed it on the table. Next to it, I placed my security token, the little fob with the changing numbers. Bradley looked at it, then at me. "And the encryption keys? The master passcodes for the vault?" I stared at him. This was it. This was the whole play. He wanted the keys. He wanted to hand them to someone else and claim he had streamlined the department while saving money. "The keys are not physical, Bradley," I said slowly, as if explaining complex calculus to a golden retriever. "They are algorithmic seeds. They rotate every 6 hours. I cannot just write them down for you. The system generates them based on my biometric profile." "We will figure it out," he snapped. "Just go. Security will escort you out." I stood up. I did not look at Brenda. I looked Bradley dead in the eye. "You really have no idea what you are doing, do you? You think this is just information technology support? You think you can just swap out parts? I think your time has passed, Lawrence." He sneered. "We need fresh eyes, loyal, there it was. He did not want competence, he wanted a lapdog." I turned and walked out. I did not slam the door. I walked past the security desk where Dennis Brady looked confused as he took my visitor log signature. "Leaving early, Lawrence?" he asked. "Something like that, Dennis. Take care of yourself." I walked out into the humidity. The sun was blinding. My car was baking in the asphalt lot. I got in, locked the doors, and sat there. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the adrenaline of holding back my anger. He lied about a federal clearance. That is not just a firing offense. That is a felony. That is fraud against the government, and under federal law, it carries severe penalties. I was going to make sure the right people found out. I did not drive home. I drove toward a nondescript office park about 5 miles away. It was a secure drop site for personnel who need to report a compromised chain of command without using digital channels. I parked my sedan, grabbed my chapstick drive, and walked toward the building. Bradley thought he had locked me out. He did not realize that by cutting my cord, he had just turned me into a live wire, and he was standing in a puddle. It took less than 24 hours for Bradley Thorne to unveil his master plan. I was not in the office, obviously. I was sitting in my home study, a room that is significantly more secure than most bank vaults, watching the train wreck unfold on a dedicated monitor. See, here is the thing about being the architect of a security system. You always leave a back door, not a malicious one, but a maintenance hatch that connects directly to the kernel via a hard-coded network handshake. It is undetectable unless you know exactly which packet sequence to look for in the noise. Bradley did not even know what a noise floor was. I had access to the internal security cameras. It was necessary to protect the work. Bradley had called an all-hands meeting in the war room. He was standing at the front, beaming. Next to him was a guy who looked like he was engineered in a lab to be the ultimate technology enthusiast. He was wearing skinny jeans, an expensive designer hoodie, and had that meticulously messy hair that takes 40 minutes to style. Team, Bradley announced, his voice carrying through the small room. I want you to meet the future of our encryption division. This is Jared Finch. He is joining us from Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley was code for being let go from a startup for losing database records. Jared threw up a peace sign. What is up, guys? Ready to crush some code? We are going to modernize this stack. No more legacy bloatware, right? Legacy bloatware. He was talking about the polymorphic encryption engine I spent 4 years perfecting, the one that adapts to quantum decryption attempts in real time. He called it bloatware. I watched as the team sat there in stunned silence. Diana Vance, our senior analyst, raised her hand. Jared, welcome. Does this mean you are taking over the key management protocols? Because the rotation is set for 1800 hours. Jared laughed, a hollow, nervous sound. Key rotation? Yeah, we will automate that. I have a script I wrote in a lightweight language that handles dynamic rekeying. It is super lightweight. I groaned aloud in my empty house. Using standard web scripting for a military-grade localized vault was like securing a bank vault with a piece of tape. Later that afternoon, the camera feed showed Jared sitting at my desk. He had put his feet up on the console. He was typing on a mechanical keyboard he must have brought from home, with loud, obnoxious switches. I switched my view to the terminal mirror. I could see what he was typing. He was trying to run updates, but the firewall blocked him. He tried to clone public repositories, but the external connection was rejected. He was trying to pull code from the public internet into a closed security environment. He was literally trying to copy and paste code from public sites to run a classified defense system. You absolute turnip, I whispered. Bradley walked in a few minutes later holding 2 cups of coffee. How is it going, Rockstar? Are you getting into the guts of it? Yeah, man, Jared said, spinning around in my chair. The previous guy, Lawrence, right? He had this locked down way too tight. Permissions are a nightmare. I am having to root the system just to install some basic tools. Do what you have to do, Bradley said, sipping his coffee. Just get it ready for the demonstration on Friday. I told the chief executive officer we would have the new interface live. No worries, Jared replied. I am flushing the old checksums now. My blood ran cold. The checksums are not just for error checking in this system. They are the heartbeat. They verify the integrity of the data stored in the vault. If you flush them without the proper validation sequence, which only exists in my head and on my secure offline drive, the system interprets the data as corrupted. If he ran that command, he would not just break the system. He would trigger the dead man's switch. The system is designed to assume that if the checksums vanish suddenly, the facility has been overrun by hostile forces. It locks down. It encrypts the data into a monolithic block of noise that is mathematically impossible to reverse without the prime key. And guess who has the prime key? I watched Jared type the command to delete the validation logs. He hesitated, his finger hovering over the enter key. Do it, Bradley urged. Clean slate, Jared hit enter. On my screen, nothing happened. On their screen, the prompt returned to a blinking cursor. Done, Jared said. Easy. They had no idea. They did not hear the silent alarm that just went out to the security agencies. They did not see the background processes quietly locking every single file, turning terabytes of intelligence into digital concrete. They thought they were cleaning house. In reality, they had just welded the doors shut from the inside. I sat back and took a sip of my tea. Okay, Jared, I said to the screen. You wanted the wheel. You got it. Try not to crash into the Pentagon. The trap was sprung. Now I just had to wait for the authorities to arrive. The thing about a silent alarm is that it is truly silent. There are no flashing lights or sirens. In the real world, a silent alarm is a single packet of data, 64 bytes long, sent via a dedicated frequency that bypasses the company's provider. It hit the federal servers at 2:14 in the afternoon. At 2:15 in the afternoon, my encrypted phone buzzed. It was a push notification from an application that looks like a weather tracker. Storm warning, severe location, Sector 7. Sector 7 was the code for my old office. I opened the application and authorized access with my thumbprint. A secure chat window appeared. Handler, we see integrity collapse on Vault Node 4. Did you authorize a flush? I typed back immediately. Lawrence negative. I was terminated yesterday. Badge revoked. Access denied by Site Manager Bradley Thorne. Handler, we have no record of a clearance withdrawal. You are still the registered Prime Administrator. Lawrence, Bradley claims my clearance expired. He physically removed me. The current activity is unauthorized. Handler, understood. Hold position. We are initiating a trace. Do not engage. I watched Jared on my monitor, frowning at his screen. Bradley, he called, the file system is acting very slow. I tried to open the database and it is giving me gibberish. Bradley poked his head in. It is probably just indexing. Give it a minute. No, look, Jared pointed. The file names are all changing to random characters. It was the encryption cascade. The system was eating itself to protect the data. On my phone, a new message popped up. Handler, trace confirms unauthorized access. This is a Category 1 breach. We are freezing federal contracts effective immediately. A Category 1 breach means the company has failed to protect national secrets. Their authorization to handle classified data is suspended until a full forensic audit is completed. Bradley's phone rang. He ignored it. Who keeps calling me? He muttered. Washington area code, probably telemarketers. He declined a call from the Department of Defense. I laughed. Jared, Bradley said, just force a reboot. That usually clears the memory. Jared reached for the power button on the server rack. My heart stopped. A hard reboot during an encryption cascade guarantees data corruption. He was setting the house on fire. Jared pressed the button, and the screens went black. On my phone, the handler messaged, signal lost. Node 4 is offline. Did they just kill the server? Lawrence affirmative. Manager instructed a hard reboot during lockdown. Handler understood. Asset preservation team is mobilizing. Stay by your phone. The damage was done. The data was corrupted. Unless someone had a backup. A localized offline mirror. Someone who kept a copy on a drive disguised as lip balm. Bradley had just destroyed millions of dollars of work and compromised national security. Because he wanted to hire his friend, and he had no idea the only lifeboat was sitting in my pocket. I checked the time, 3:30 in the afternoon. The traffic from Washington is brutal. The team would not arrive until tomorrow morning. That gave Bradley and Jared one final night to stew in their own failure. One night to realize the system was not coming back up. I decided to order a pizza. I deserved a treat. Bradley decided it was time to celebrate. Around 4:30 in the afternoon, assistants rolled a cart with sparkling wine and cups into the open area. A banner reading New Era, Fresh Talent was taped to the board. I watched through the camera. The staff looked uneasy, knowing I was gone. Bradley tapped his glass. Everyone gather round, he boomed. Transitions are always hard, but sometimes you must trim the dead wood to let new growth flourish. He raised his glass to Jared. Diana Vance, our senior analyst, asked, "Is the system back up?" "My terminal shows an error. It is just booting," Jared stammered. "A big server takes time to spin up. We had moved to solid-state drives 5 years ago. There was nothing to spin." Diana knew that. She exchanged a look with the administrator. The wolves were smelling blood. Inside the war room, the server rebooted, showing amber warning lights. Jared typed frantically. "Decryption key missing," he said. "Well, put the key in," Bradley snapped. "I cannot. The prompt says user unauthorized, lockout active." Bradley ran a hand through his hair. "Call the support line." "The support contract is under Lawrence's name," Jared whispered. "When you revoked his access, the portal locked us out." "What do you mean, locked out?" Bradley's voice rose. "We pay them millions." "Yes, but the authentication is tied to the lead cryptographer's biometric profile. You took his token, but the system needs his biometrics." Bradley stared at the blinking amber lights. He had thrown away the only key to a secure safe. "Call him," Bradley said. "Tell him we need him to come in for a final sign-off. Just get him in the building." Bradley called my number. I let it ring. He sent a text. "Hey Lawrence, hope you are well. Just realized we forgot some paperwork for your severance. Can you stop by the office? We want to make sure you get paid." The audacity was astounding. I did not reply. The lights on the server rack turned from amber to red. "What is that?" Bradley asked. Jared swallowed. "That is the data purge warning. If we do not authenticate in 12 hours, it wipes the drives. Unplug it." "If I unplug it, the battery backup kicks in and accelerates the wipe." Bradley slumped into the chair. In the war room, the party was over. The next morning, a black Suburban with government plates sat in front of the entrance. It was 7:45 in the morning. Bradley Thorne arrived at 8 in the morning, looking exhausted. In the war room, Jared Finch was asleep on the floor. Bradley kicked his shoe. "Get up. Who is the car outside?" Jared groaned. "I do not know." There was a hard knock on the glass door. Standing, there was a woman in a gray suit. "Bradley Thorne?" she asked. "I am Special Agent Rebecca Knox, Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency. We are conducting an emergency audit." Bradley's face went pale. "It is just routine maintenance," Bradley stammered. Agent Knox repeated. "Is that why your main encryption node is offline and we have lost telemetry?" "Where is the lead cryptographer, Lawrence Barlow?" "He is no longer with the company," Bradley said. "Clearance issues." Agent Knox's eyes got cold. "Our records show his clearance is active. He is the only one certified to operate this node." Bradley claimed there was an administrative lapse. Agent Knox demanded the access logs and ordered them to step away from the terminal. Bradley tried to bluster, but Agent Knox reminded him that as a federal contractor, he was not a private entity. Two agents began plugging laptops into the server. Bradley ducked into the hallway and called my phone. I let it go to voicemail. He texted, "Lawrence, pick up. The feds are here. Tell them you quit." "I will double your salary," I replied. "My clearance is expired, remember? I cannot talk to you. It would be a security violation." I saw him read it, realizing I was watching. My phone rang. This time it was a blocked number. "Lawrence, this is Director Gordon Keith. We have boots on the ground. They have triggered a lockout." "I know," I said. "I am watching. Can you fix it if I get you in?" "Yes, but I have been dismissed." "Not anymore," Director Keith said. "I am sending a vehicle. We need the architect." "Understood," I said. I grabbed my bag in the chapstick drive. The military vehicle arrived at 9:15 in the morning. Flanked by two officers in uniform, I walked past the turnstiles. The hallway was crowded. Agent Knox was talking to a sweating Bradley. Jared sat on a bench. The chief executive officer, Mr. Donald Pierce, was pacing, shouting. Bradley saw me first. "Lawrence, thank God. Tell them this is a misunderstanding. You can unlock it, right?" I walked straight to Agent Knox. "I am Lawrence Barlow, lead cryptographer." Agent Knox nodded. "Director Keith briefed me. The system is in full lockdown. The current team attempted a hard reboot during a checksum flush." "Amateurs," I said. Lawrence Bradley cut in. "You need to log in now. Just fix this." I turned to him. "I cannot, Bradley. My clearance is expired, remember? You put it in writing." Bradley screamed that the company was on the line. Mr. Donald Pierce, the chief executive officer, froze, looking from me to Bradley. "What is the meaning of this?" "He fired me yesterday," I said. "He claimed my clearance was revoked and forged a document to do it." Then he handed the keys to Jared. Mr. Pierce turned on Bradley. "You forged a revocation, Bradley? Is that true?" "It was a business decision," Bradley pleaded. "We needed to cut costs." "And look what you got," I said, pointing at the red pulsing light. Agent Knox checked her watch. "Mr. Barlow, the purge cycle hits the terminal phase in 4 minutes. If you can stop it, do it now." I walked into the war room. I plugged the chapstick drive into the maintenance port and accessed the command line. The system was rejecting standard input. I used the handshake protocol from the drive. Welcome. Architect, the screen read. I aborted the purge and restored the checksums. The progress bar climbed, and the lights turned to a solid, steady green. System restored. Integrity 100%. I pulled the drive out. The vault is secure, I said. Agent Knox checked the screen and nodded. She turned to Bradley. Mr. Thorne, we need to discuss the document you presented. Agent Knox took the forged letter from my bag. Forging official documents to access classified systems carries severe federal penalties. Mr. Pierce looked pale. I had no idea, he said. Bradley told me he was letting Lawrence go for performance. He lied to you, I said. He risked national security. Agent Knox signaled the officers. Bradley Thorne. I am detaining you for questioning regarding the mishandling of classified material and fraud against the government. You cannot arrest me, Bradley yelled. You are fired, Bradley, Mr. Pierce barked. The officers marched him away. Jared was told to leave immediately. Mr. Pierce looked at me. Lawrence, we need you. Please name your price. I am not coming back, Mr. Pierce. You let a man like that tear apart my work without checking. Agent Knox stepped in. Actually, the agency is seizing control of this node. Director Keith would like to offer you a position. Direct hire, you answer to the agency. I smiled. I think I would like that. I packed my personal items, my mug, and my plant. I walked past Jared at the elevator. Encryption is a language, Jared, I said. If you do not speak it, do not try to shout over it. As I drove away, I saw the government vehicles. My clearance did not expire. It just got upgraded. Bradley thought a title meant power, but real authority is not something you can fake. I opened my phone and blocked Bradley's connection request. The code always remembers.